Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. We are back with a new video inside Google Sheets, and today we'll be exploring a very interesting concept, and we will also take a small example and see how we can put that to good use when you are analyzing your data. Alright, so if you are new to my channel, I would love it if you can subscribe to the channel and also go through all the videos that are there on this channel, so that it could be something that could be useful for you, or it could be something that you can take away into your own work as well. All right, so do let me know what you think of this video, or what do you think of the other videos in the comments below. And without further ado, let's get started. All right, so in today's video we are going to be looking at how to do a simple data validation inside Google Sheets. Okay, so in this tutorial we will not just be looking at how to create a simple data validation, okay, because that's not going to take too long, but we are going to use it in a scenario. So I have this pizza sales data set that I have from Kaggle, so I'm going to be using this data set, and we are going to be doing an interesting an interesting application of how we can take certain rows of the given data set for our requirement as per the data validation. All right, so what exactly is data validation? Okay, so as you know, data filtering is a very common operation, right? You only want to filter for a certain section of data, and you only want to make analysis around it. Okay, so data validation is an easier way to do that, especially when you have lots of categorical variables. Okay, so what essentially happens is we create like a drop down, like a menu bar. Okay, so when you click, you get options, and then based on those options, okay, based on whatever option you choose, the data that you're linking this with, that you're connecting this with, gets modified. Okay, so for example, I'm going to give you a gist of what we are going to be doing as an application. So if we have these we have this list of pizza orders that have happened in a particular store, and if you see here, we have pizza name, we have pizza category, and we have pizza size. Okay, and we also have something called as unit price. Okay, so what essentially I want to do is I want to keep the category as my validation. Okay, I want to keep the category as my validation criteria, and based on whatever criteria I choose, I get the pizza name, I get the size, and I also get the unit price. All right, so think of it like this, that you see there are many rows here, there are many pizzas, different types of pizzas, and with different categories and things like that. So I want to, in a nutshell, know what are the categories I have, what are the offerings under each category, what's the unit price, and what's the size corresponding to it. Okay, so that's the application we are going to do using the data validation. But first, let's see how to set up one. Okay, so now that I have mentioned that we are going to be using the category as our criteria, okay, so for the first thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the unique values of category. Okay, so if you see this data set here, we are I'm not really sure how many unique values are there in this column. All right, so what I'm just going to use the unique formula. So putting it over any range will give you only the distinct elements inside that column. All right, so if I just do this, I just click this. Okay, now one more small tweak I'm going to make is I'm going to exclude the headers. Okay, so I'm going to exclude the first row because I do not want the header as an option. So I'm going to say J2 to J, and you can see the way it's highlighted now. Okay, you're skipping the header name from this. Okay, so I'm just going to put a bracket, and now you can see we have 4 unique values over here. Okay, so I'll just bring this over here so it's a little more closer. Yeah, okay, so we have 4 unique values, 4 unique categories. Okay, and now I'm going to use these values to populate a data validation. Okay, so this is my space, this is a label, and this is where I'm going to be adding the data validation. So to do that, you can pick any cell. So now I've picked this cell, I've right clicked it, I come to drop down. All right, and now there is a rules box that has opened over here. Okay, so what does it contain? So apply to range is where you want the data validation to be applied. Okay, so in this case we are only putting it at one instance, J2. Okay, but you can apply it for multiple instances. So let's say if I just select like this, right? If I just select it like this and I press OK, you see there are multiple options, right? So this is very ideal, right? If you have like a tracker, if you have like a task tracker or any project management tracker, or as simple as, okay, I have a list of to-dos and I want to see whether I have done it or not. Okay, so you have the list here and you have like a yes, no, maybe kind of option, and you just update the status as per your task. All right, so this is where it comes handy when you want to put it across multiple ranges. Okay, and then if you see, if now on this itself I can just type a yes and a no. Okay, and now you see everywhere there is a yes and a no, and if I just select it like this, you can see now the options are coming up, right? So this is how you can create a simple validation. Okay, just a simple data validation across a single cell or multiple cells. Okay, so let's do the same thing for this cell as well in context to our to our pizza sales dataset. Okay, so I'm just going to remove these. So if you want to delete these, you need to remove the rule itself, right? So I'm just going to delete this rule right here. All right, and I'm going to do the same thing again. So I'm just going to go get the drop down. Okay, so now we saw apply to range, means where means you the cells or the range that you want the data validation to apply, and then you have this criteria. So you have lots of criterias here based on a given condition, greater than equal to, date, text, everything, right? So a custom formula as well is also there. A tick box is also there. Okay, so so a tick box link is if you tick a particular option, then you can get that only those values over here, right? Yeah, so you can do those kind of things. I'll make a separate video on how to control how to do a lot of controls just using tick boxes, but let's continue with what we have right now. So if you see here, you have multiple criteria. So the main two criteria that I want to focus on, one is a drop down and one is drop down from a range. Now drop down is the same thing that we did just now, right? We put a yes, we put a no, and then you can keep adding items as and when you go. All right, so you can do that manually. Okay, if you have 3 options or 2 options, then you can definitely add it manually and be done with it, right? Because it's that simple. Okay, and in this case we have 4 options, which is again not very complicated, but sometimes you'll end up in situations where you'll have 10 options, 20 options and things like that, right? So in such a case, it's always good to go for the drop down from a range criteria. All right, so now what happens is drop down from a range, okay, is basically saying that we will list the criteria from a given range. Okay, so there's a box over here. If I select this, I'm going to select these values because these are the options we need. Okay, it's always a good practice to like have some empty cells as well, because if you are in a situation where newer categories can come, then that will also get populated in your data validation. Okay, I will show that once I create this, but let's just go with this for now. And you can see that all the 4 options are now populated over here. All right, you can see these boxes over here, so you can choose a color for everything, right? So I'm just going to randomly choose some nice colors. Okay, all right, so I have this ready, and before we get out of this, I just want to show the advanced options as well. So if you come here and see, you can also allow for multiple selections, which is a new feature now that's come on Google Sheets. Okay, you can show help text for a selected cell. You can also show a message, right? Show a warning or reject an input, right? So if you choose a wrong option, or if you try to choose an option that's not in the menu, then you can decide what kind of a messaging you want to show. All right, and then you have the display style. So let us look at this one. So display style right now, it's a chip. So chip is basically like this, right? And you can see the options over here, right? You can see our options color coded as we did over here. Okay, but I mean, it doesn't look very nice. So let me look at the other one, plain text. Now in plain text, the problem is, well, you don't know if this is a data validation or not, right? Unless you double click it and then you see a pop-up comes up. Okay, so this is also not a great option. So I'd always like to pick the arrow option as a personal preference, because not only does this integrate well with the spreadsheet, but it also gives a little arrow mark as a differentiator over here, so that you know that when you click this, you're going to get options over here. All right, so and you can just select the options and keep them over here. So if you see now, as I've selected the option, it's getting assigned to the color that I have given over here. Okay, so chicken being the darkest, right? Alright, so now we have created the data validation, right? The menu bar is created, it was very easy, right? But now let us look at how to link this to, you know, a set of data, and what kind of manipulation can be done with this. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the columns that we mentioned earlier, which is pizza category, pizza size, pizza name, pizza size, and unit price. Okay, so I'm going to get these three, and I'm going to toggle it. I'm going to use the pizza category toggle to give me only those values that match this criteria. Okay, so to do that, there are many ways to do this, but I'm going to be using the query formula for this, because this is something that it's very easy to do, and also if you end up learning this, it will be very useful for you in the Google Sheets world. Alright. Alright, so if you have no idea about how to use the query formula, I have an entire series recorded around the query formula, right from the basics to the more advanced level. Okay, so I will put the link to that series playlist in my description. Alright, so but just for a you know, like a crash course or something, okay, what we are going to do now is I've written the query formula, and the arguments we have is data, and then the query we are going to write. Okay, so data is going to be this entire data set, right? So I'm just going to select the entire thing. So that's my data. All right, and now I'm going to write the query. So query is going to be written just like how you write it in SQL. Okay, so I'm going to say select first, because I want to know which oops, okay, it didn't take any input, so let me just pick it to one column. So if I type select A like this, I'm only getting one column, right? So because I put A is pizza ID. Okay, so when I do select A, I am getting only one column. Okay, but I don't want column A, right? What are the columns I want? I want column L, column J, and column I. Okay, so I will go in this order, because pizza name, L, I, and G. Okay, so I'll go with pizza name, pizza size, and then the unit price. Okay, so let me come here and let me write it in that order: L, comma I, comma G. Alright, so it's just selected the columns as is, just like SQL, right? How do you put a select and then you specify the columns? It's the same way we have done it using the query formula in Google Sheets. Alright. Okay, so now the one tweak that I want to make in this is I want to put a unique around this. Why? It's because what I am pulling right now is all multiple orders, right? It's all multiple values of multiple orders made for, you know, similar pizzas and things like that, right? But that's not what I want. I just want to see all the offerings under a given category. So say if chicken is selected over here, I want to see all the chicken pizzas. I want to see the sizes and what's the unit price as per the name and the size. So I'm going to put a unique around this entire thing, so that I only get the distinct values from the selected data. So when I do that, you can see the data is kind of shrunk now, right? You have very less rows. You can see that the name is kind of repetitive over here, but that will definitely happen because we have variety of sizes for each of them, right? So you have a soppressata pizza from medium, and then you have a small. Okay, so that's fine, but unique is basically unique for each of these. Okay, all right, now what I'm going to be doing is I want to now only get the value for chicken pizzas on this, right? Or whatever value I choose on this toggle. So how are we going to do that? So just like in the SQL world, we have where inside the query formula. So I'm going to type a where, and then I'm going to specify that pizza category, this is going to be my filtration column, that the value should be coming from column J. Okay, so J, where J is equal to, and it has to come to this cell, right? So column J is the category from where we are pulling out these names in the data set. Okay, and we also have the values inside this menu, inside this drop down. So now I have to link this query table to this drop down. So the way to do it is J is equal to this cell J2. Okay, so but the way to write it in query formula is a little different. So just follow along and see what I do over here. So I'm going to say single quote, double quotes, and then single quote. Okay, so essentially one single quote first, two double quotes next, and then close the first single quote with the next single quote. All right, and then in between the single quotes I will put two ampersands, and then in between the ampersands I am just going to click the cell like this. Okay, I'm going to put the closed inverted commas for the query formula, inverted commas over here, close this bracket. All right, now before I press enter, you need to make sure that whenever you're putting a reference like this, you need to make sure that this is highlighted. So you can see here this is highlighted in like a bluish color. Okay, so which means that my cell reference that I'm making is correct. Okay, so inside the query formula your cell references will work in this fashion, unlike in many other formulas where you can just directly reference it. All right, so I have written this now, and now when I press enter, you can see now all the chicken pizzas are only shown, and you can see the size of the whole thing has reduced. Okay, and let's just freeze this. So I'll just come here and freeze up to row 2. All right, okay, so you can see all the chicken pizzas over here, and you can see the corresponding size and what's the price. Okay, and then if I toggle this, if I put classic, now I'm getting all the values for classic pizza. Okay, if I toggle this and put veggie, I'm going to get all the vegetarian pizzas, right? So essentially what you're doing is, instead of putting a specific filter or specifying it inside the formula, you are letting the filters be subject to a toggle, to a menu bar. Okay, and this way what happens is it becomes easier for the user to play with the data. Okay, so you can connect one table or multiple tables or even data visualizations for that matter in this fashion. Okay, you can build small tables for the data visualization and then link it to the data validation, so that when you change this, the data changes and so does the validation. Sorry, so does the visualization. Right, so as you can see here, we are already getting all the values we need for a given this one, right? So this is how you can connect various other tables. You can create many other tables like this using filter formula or query formula around sales, around categories and things like that, and then you can just use a toggle here to toggle between various values for the table. Okay, so this becomes very easy for the user to just come and just toggle with the category value and then see the numbers for themselves all with just a click of a button. All right, so this is the most basic application of a data validation. So we saw how to create one, we saw how to link it to a given table, and how to write the how to connect a condition to that. Okay, the one last thing before we end this video is about the space that I left over here. So when I selected this data validation, what I exactly did was I left a few rows below. Okay, so I will get to why we did that. So if you see here, I put O1 to O10, which means this entire range. So I have left about 6 empty spaces over here. Okay, why does that happen? So let's say you've started a new category. Okay, maybe a Mexican special or Christmas special or something like that. Okay, and that data started coming in. You can see those new values, but it's not showing up in your tables. The numbers are not flowing in for those particular categories. Okay, and let's say these come around festive seasons or Thanksgiving or things like that, and you want all that data to come quickly so that you can make changes, and you can function effectively around those times. So in such a case, what happens is, when the data populates, now you have a unique formula here for that column. Okay, so if you have a unique formula column here, the new value will populate. So let's say Christmas special. Okay, Christmas special is populating, and then that also populates in this menu automatically. Okay, then let's say you have a Mexican special, so Mexican special also comes by. Okay, so as soon as the data gets the new values, they come and get populated in your backend, which is this one. This is essentially your backend where you are populating the unique values. And now, because you have left the space till 10 over here, this entire thing is selected, it automatically gets populated in your drop down as well. Okay, so you do not have to go and spend the extra time to add that value into that and make sure the numbers are flowing. You can just leave some space when you're taking the source of the data validation, and let the newer values populate by themselves, so that they're already ready when you want to see the numbers. Okay, So I hope this was helpful, and I hope you liked this video, and you can share this with your friends for those who might need it, or for you can use this in your day-to-day work as well if you're juggling with an important report or a crazy dashboard. So do please do like this video, and please do comment and let me know what you thought about this, and please do subscribe to the channel as well for more data related content that will be coming your way. I would also love to hear any feedback on the kind of content that I should be making on this channel, and your feedback on what you have thought about all the other videos so far. All right, so until the next video, I will see you around. Cheers.